Good morning students. Today we will discuss about techniques of herbarium preparation. Under this we will discuss about introduction of herbarium, history of herbarium, and then different field equipments required for collection of plant material from the field. And then finally we will discuss about herbarium techniques. First of all, dear students, tell me, what do you mean by herbarium? What is the definition of herbarium according to you? Okay, herbarium is a dried and Herbarium is a dried and preserved collection of what? Collection of plant specimens. And these dried and preserved collection of plant specimens are arranged in an accepted sequence of classification. So this is the definition of herbarium. Herbarium is a dried and preserved collection of plant specimens arranged in an accepted sequence of classification. So the word herbarium was applied not to a collection of plants, the word herbarium was not applied to a collection of plants, but it was applied to a book dealing with what? Dealing with medicinal plants. So the word herbarium was not applied to a collection of plants, but it was applied to a book dealing with what? Dealing with medicinal plants. The term herbarium was used by Danforth. This term herbarium was used by Danforth in 1700. Later on, this term was adopted by Linnaeus. So originally the term herbarium was used by Danforth in 1700, and later on it was adopted by Linnaeus. The present concept and development of herbarium was efforts of botanists for more than 4 centuries. The present concept and development of herbarium was efforts of botanists for how many years or centuries? For more than 4 centuries, means more than 400 years. The material of herbarium and the information associated with it serves as basis of classification for world's flora. And herbarium is a reservoir of facts about Herbarium is a reservoir of what? Reservoir of facts about plants. And these herbaria are centers. These are the centers where plant taxa are studied. Where plant taxa are studied for what? For getting knowledge about palynology, anatomy, molecular biology, etc. Okay, now tell me, who is the first person to mount dried plants on paper? Who is the first person to mount dried plants on a sheet of paper? Yes? Lucagini was a professor of botany. Lucagini was a professor of botany in the University of Bologna, Italy. Lucagini was the first person to mount dried plants on paper, and he was a professor of botany in the University of Bologna, that is in Italy. The oldest preserved herbarium specimen is still existing in Florence. Existing in Florence, Italy. And the first herbarium of the world was established by University of Padua, Italy in 1545. first herbarium of the world was established by University of Padua, Italy in 1545. Linnaeus started mounting plant specimens, dried plant specimens, on a paper horizontally. He started mounting dried plant specimens on paper horizontally instead of bounding them into volumes. And the binding of herbarium sheets into volumes was started by whom? It was started by Asagre. It was started by Asagre in 1830. The practice of binding herbarium sheets into volume was started by Asagre in 1830. And herbaria grew during the first 400 years of existence from personal collections to small local collections. And from small local collections to herbarium of large collections of national and international significance. Okay, so this point is clear to everyone. Herbaria grew during the first 400 years of existence from personal collections to small local collections, and then from small local collections to herbarium of large collections of national and international significance. Okay, let's start with the field equipments which are required for the collection of plants during field visit. So under this, first one is digger. What is the use of this digger? Digger is required for obtaining what? For obtaining a herbaceous whole plant with underground parts. With underground parts. Which type of underground parts? Underground parts such as rhizome, bulk, roots, and tuber, etc. So the main use of digger is to obtain herbaceous whole plant with underground parts such as rhizome, bulb, roots and tuber, etc. And it is very useful to get underground parts. Why? What is the use of these underground parts? The use of underground parts is to furnish diagnostic features and provide perfectness to the specimen. That's why these underground parts are important. Underground parts of herbaceous plants are important. Next one is pruning shear and knife. What is the requirement of this pruning shear and knife? These are required for what? Yes, these are required for cutting. Cutting of branches and twigs of shrubs and trees. So this is the main use of pruning shear and knife. They are required for cutting branches and twigs of shrubs and trees. Next important equipment required during field visit is vasculum. Yes, you can see in the picture vasculum. Yes, the size of vasculum is 50 by 30 by 15 centimeter. This is the size of vasculum. It is a metallic container. Vasculum is a metallic container. Metallic container with a lid. This is a lid. It is a metallic container with a lid, and ends of this vasculum is oval. You can see in the picture oval ends of vasculum. And this vasculum is generally painted white. Why? Why? The question is why vasculum is painted white? Yes? The answer is it is painted white to reflect sun rays. It is painted white to reflect sun rays. To reflect sun rays and protect the specimen from the heat. So this is the main use of vasculum. It is used to keep the specimen after collection till the time of pressing. And the next requirement is field notebook. Field notebook is a size of pocket size. It is of pocket size. It is of pocket size with what? With the detachable sheets or leaves. With detachable sheets, generally 100 sheets. Detachable sheets, 100 in number. And at the time of collection of collection of specimen. Note the detail of the specimen or information about the specimen on this filled notebook, which have the same number as that on the tag. This filled notebook also have a tag with the same number. Suppose the number of the filled notebook is 1. So the number 1 is also present on the tag. Suppose this is a tag, number 1. Okay. So tie the tag with the specimen at the time of collection. Okay, now this filled notebook is used for recording data, different types of data related with specimen, such as number 1, number of filled notebook. Number of filled. Number of filled from where specimen has been collected. And the second point is morphology. Morphology of specimen. Third one is topography. Topography. And the next one is name of the plant, if known to you. If it is known to you. Next one is date of collection. Date of collection. Next one is name of collector. And then vernacular name of specimen, and then habitat, and so on. So this is the data which must be recorded at the time of collection of plant specimen. Next, most important is press or folder. What is the use of this press or folder, and what is this press and folder? As you can see in the picture, it is a pair of metal, wood or plywood frames. It is a pair of metal, wood or plywood frames. And the size of this plant press is 30 by 45 centimeter. This is the size of plant press. And blotting papers and newspapers are used. Yes, blotting papers and old newspapers are used for loading the specimen and to put inside the press horizontally. And these blotting papers or newspapers are placed horizontally inside the press and tie the press tightly for about 24 hours. And what is the use of these blotting paper or newspaper? These are used to absorb the moisture. These blotting paper or old newspapers are used to absorb the moisture present inside the plant specimen. Next requirement is magnifying lens or magnifying glass of power up to 10x. And what is the use of this magnifying lens? It is known to you all that its use is magnification. It is used to magnify the micro-morphological characters of the plant specimen. Next requirement is digital camera with high resolution. With high resolution and with zoom facility for the purpose of photography of plant. And this is very useful for digitization of herbarium. This is very useful for digitization of herbarium. And the last requirement is global positioning system, that is GPS. It is required for what? Yes, it is required for recording geographical coordinates. It is required for recording geographical coordinates. So this is the major use of GPS, to record the geographical coordinates from where the plant specimen has been collected. Yes, now the steps of herbarium techniques. There are different steps such as collection, pressing, drying, poisoning, mounting and stitching, then labeling, identification, and the last one is filing and storage. Okay, let's discuss about first step, that is collection of plant specimen. The plant specimen collected from the field must have flower and fruits. The plant specimen, collector's plant specimen, or rather I will say, try to collect a plant specimen with flower and fruits if present. If present. For herbaceous plant, collect whole plant specimen with underground parts. Collect whole plant with underground parts, and for woody plants, collect a twig of about 25 centimeters. Okay, this is clear to everyone. For herbaceous plant, collect whole plant specimen with underground parts, and for woody plants, collect a twig of approximately 25 centimeters. Okay, this is a picture of herbaceous plant specimen collected with roots, and here is a twig of woody plant specimen which is of approximately 25 centimeters. Now after collection, the next step is tag the data or information collected on the field notebook with the specimen. And the next is collect at least 6 plant specimens of each plant. Collect at least 6 specimens. 6 specimens of each plant. Okay. And use unmounted unmounted duplicates for the purpose of scientific study, and deposit these unmounted duplicates in as many as herbaria as you can. Next most important step under technique of herbarium preparation is pressing. This is the most important step, pressing. And here I want to add a line that beauty of a herbarium, it depends on this step, that is pressing. So for the pressing of the specimen, put the specimen inside the blotting paper or newspaper. And what is the objective of this pressing? Objective of pressing is to flatten the specimen. To flatten the specimen and dry the specimen. To flatten and dry the specimen is the main objective of this step of herbarium technique. And the next is place plant specimen in the center of blotter or old newspaper. Put on the center. Suppose this is a blotter, put the specimen in the center. This is a plant specimen, put the plant specimen in the center of blotter or old newspaper. And suppose if your plant specimen is very large in size. Suppose it is of very large in size. In this case, what will you do? In this case, bend the plant specimen in different shapes. Such as V. Bend your specimen in V shape. Or bend your specimen in N shape. W shape. So these are the three shapes, that is V, N and W. Bend your large specimen in different shapes such as V, N and W. Okay, next is reveal important parts of leaves, inflorescence and flowers. Try to arrange leaves in such a way that both sides, that is upper and lower, arrange leaves of a plant specimen in such a way that both sides are visible. Both upper and lower sides are visible. And in case of inflorescence and flowers, spread these inflorescence and flowers in such a way that all the important parts are visible. And now what is the position of pressing sheets? Put the pressing sheets in horizontal direction. Put them horizontally. Put them horizontally inside the press. And to avoid the wastage of blotters or old newspaper, dry moist blotters so that they can be used over and over again. Okay, here is a picture showing V-shaped specimen. Next important step is drying. Drying is of two types, natural drying, and the second one is drying with artificial heat. Let's discuss about natural drying. For natural drying, Place specimen inside the press. Place specimen inside the press and then change these blotters or newspaper which are loaded with the plant specimen on daily basis. On daily basis or after 2 or 3 days. After 2 or 3 days. Depending on what? Depending on the moisture content present in the specimen. Okay, so change of the blotter and newspaper, it depends on the moisture content present inside the specimen. This natural drying is a very slow process of drying. It is a very slow process of drying. It takes about 10 days to 1 month for drying. So this is a very slow process. And the second type of drying is drying with artificial heat. Dear students, this second type, that is drying with artificial heat, is a very rapid process of drying in comparison to natural drying. It is a very rapid process of drying. It takes only 24 hours to 2 days for drying. Only 24 hours to 2 days. For this artificial drying, transfer specimen to a drying press. And this inside this drying press, put corrugated sheets. Inside this drying press, put corrugated sheets alternating with what? Alternating with folder loaded with plant specimens. Means put one folder loaded with plant specimen and then put corrugated sheet and then again plant folder loaded with plant specimen and then corrugated sheet and so on. Okay. Now what are these corrugated sheets? क्या होती हैं corrugated sheets? These are sheets with what? These are the sheets with furrows. These are the sheets with furrows and ridges, and they are not plain. Okay, this is about the corrugated sheets. I think this is clear to everyone. Corrugated sheets are the sheets with ridges and furrows, and their surface is not plain. And next, after putting these sheets in the drying press, put this press in a dryer, and then hot air will blow through these corrugated sheets, and the specimen will get dried. And the next, if this is a very rapid process of drying, then why this is not in use commonly? This is not in use commonly because there is a major drawback of this artificial system of drying. And the drawback is that this rapid process of drying, it makes specimen brittle. It makes specimen brittle and leads to change in color of leaves, flowers and inflorescence. this artificial system of drying is not in use. So dear students, rest of the steps of herbarium techniques, we will discuss all these steps in the next lecture. So today we have discussed about the herbarium. What is herbarium? Here I also want to tell you that the plural of herbarium is herbaria. Herbaria is the plural of herbarium. Today we will discuss about introduction of herbarium, and then history, its origin, about its binding into volume, and then oldest herbarium of the world, and then we discuss about the different field equipments, different and important field equipments required for the collection of plant specimen during the field visit, and then we discuss about 3 steps of techniques of herbarium preparation, and the rest of the steps we will discuss in the next class. And we will also perform this technique of herbarium preparation during laboratory hours. So dear students, this is all about for today. Thank you very much.